Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the online sessions of Tari Arqam Schools, Gujarat region. Have you guys offered your prayers? Do you guys know that prayer is only the essential element that makes a difference between the Muslim and the non-Muslims? Now you have to analyze yourself that if you are offering your prayer, then you will be considered in the Muslims, and if you are not, then you will be considered in the non-Muslim. Okay, class, join your hands for dua. Rabbi zidni ilma, my Lord, increase me in knowledge. ए मेरे रब मेरे इल्म में इजाफा फरमा. So class, this is your history lecture and I'm your history teacher, and today we are going to discuss about the histories, cultural and political background of Pakistan movement. That is your history book, chapter number 1 and section number 1. So, this is your lecture 1, and the topic is on the page number 4, cultural and the political background of Pakistan movement. Cultural and political background of Pakistan movement. What it is. First of all, we will start it with the introduction. At the beginning of the 18th century, the Mughals ruled India. However, by the middle of the 19th century, external forces and internal weaknesses meant that the once mighty Muslim empire was gone. In 1526, the Muslim empire in the subcontinent began under the Mughal dynasty. At its peak, under Aurangzeb. At the beginning of the 18th century, it is controlled all the India apart from the southern tip. It reached a position of the power, influence, and the culture that has never again been seen in the history of the subcontinent. The Mughals and the many of the rulers of their dynasty were descendants of the Mongol rulers who had raided the Sultanate of Delhi. This 17th century painting shows that the Timur center with some of its descendants on his the right and Akbar front and Babur, and of his left Humayun and Jahangir. The decline of the Mughal Empire reflected a decline of the fortunes of the Muslims in general in the South subcontinent, as the British tended to favor the Hindu community. Fortunately, a number of great Muslim reformers emerged who helped bring about a revival of the Muslim fortune in the place of Muslims on the road to an independent Pakistan. We all know that, and we have already read in the previous chapters about how and when Muslims was start declining. In the previous class, we have already read that when the Muslims was on their peak, they was conquering different areas of the world: France, Spain, Syria, Persian, Turkey, and many more like that. Africa, Asia, South Asia, and many more places like this. Now it was the time when the Muslims was forgetting their religious teachings and their religious principles. The forgetting of these religious principles and their teachings was bringing them towards the decline, where the Muslims was the ruler of the whole world when they were spreading Islam all over the world, and now they will start declining. At that time in the subcontinent, the British tended to favor the Hindu community. Fortunately, a number of great Muslim reformers emerged who bring about a revival of Muslim fortunes in place of Muslims on the road towards the independence. Shah Waliullah made the Quran accessible to large numbers of the Muslims by translating it into Persian. At that time, Shah Waliullah believed that the slavery and the condition of the Muslims in the subcontinent at that time in 1703 was due to that the Muslims were far away from the religious teachings, so that they were unable to understand the Quranic teachings as it was written in the Arabic language, and the most of the people in the subcontinent was unable to understand Arabic. He also knows that the reciting of the Quran is not necessary rather than the understanding and the implementation of the Quran in their life. So that's why he translated Quran into Persian. As so that the Sayyid Ahmad Barelvi launched a movement to restore Islam to its original purity, and his work was continued by the Haji Shariatullah's Faraizi movement. We all know that Said Ahmad Barelvi was also the believer and the follower of the Shah Waliullah's teaching, and he also learned from the religious school of Shah Waliullah in Rahimia. Shah Waliullah also believed that the situation in the subcontinent of the Muslims can also be revived by their religious teachings. So he decided to attack and launch a jihad movement at that time for the restoration of Islam. So his work was further continued by the Haji Shariatullah's Faraizi movement. Haji Shariatullah also has think like the same as Haji Sayyid Ahmad Barelvi and Shah Waliullah. Haji Shariatullah also believed that the Muslim community had moved away from the true Islamic practices. He wanted them to learn to what he taught was the proper observation of the Islamic duties called farais. To realize the Muslims about their religious obligations and their duties, they called this movement the Faraizi movement. Perhaps the most important Muslim leaders, however, was Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. He played a vital role in restoration of the relationship between the British and the Muslims after the unsuccessful War of the Independence, and in helping Muslims to appreciate the value of education. For this, the betterment of the relationship between the Muslims and the British, were using they wrote so many things, so many essays, so many books, that they could make the relationship smoother between the British and the Muslims. He wrote The Loyal Mohammedans of India, in which he told the Britishers about the loyalty of the Muslims towards the Britishers. He also wrote The Great Indian Revolt, in which he mentioned the real and actual cases and incidents of that war. The work of these four great reformers played a vital role in raising the ambitions and the status of the Muslim community in the subcontinent. In later years, Urdu also played a significant part in unifying Muslims, particularly after the creation of Pakistan. We also know that the languages played an important role, and languages are the mainly source of communication between the people. In the subcontinent, there are different types of people are formed that were belong to the different sort of cultures, different languages, different traditions, different culture, different regions, religions as well. Here in the down of these lines, you can see that a map of Pakistan and India and Pakistan subcontinent. Here is a map that shows the cities of the subcontinent in the India and Pakistan. On the right, on the upper left corner, you can see the map of the Pakistan, and below this, you can see the map of India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Dhaka, Bhutan, and many more, and Sri Lanka as well. In the Pakistan, you can see the KPK, Balochistan, Sindh, Sindh, Punjab, Hyderabad, Multan, Quetta, Lahore, Rawalpindi, Islamabad, Peshawar, and KP. In India, you can also see the different names of the cities: Hyderabad, Bombay, Ahmedabad, Jaipur, Bhopal, Agra, Delhi, Aligarh, Lucknow, Calcutta, Madras, Bangalore, and many more like this. In the Bangladesh, you can see the Dhaka, the capital, Bhutan, Nepal, and many more like this. So this is all for today. You have to realize that what we are going to be discussed in the next lectures of this new history class. So as you guys are now have become in the upper level, and you also have to pay a harder attention to this subject as well. So moving to the next, now you all know that this is the serious COVID wave, and it is the third wave of COVID-19. You have to take care of yourself and your parents and your loved ones as well. So for this, you have to wash your hands with soap and running water when the hands are visibly dirty. If your hands are not visibly dirty, frequently clean them by using alcohol based or non alcohol based hand rubs and soaps and waters. It is a message from your teacher and you for the SOPs. Thank you so much, and do give your best and learn best. And stay home, stay safe, stay healthy, and take care of your loved ones and your parents as well. And take care of yourself as well. Stay blessed, stay healthy. Fi Amanillah.